So what's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to go over some mistakes I've been making when it comes down to dumping my tanks, and I want to kind of go over a few other things that you should do to help maintain your RV and make sure that things are working properly. So let's get into it. Now this video is not going to be primarily about dumping, but I want to go over some things I do in the winter time. If you don't know, we do live in our RV full time, and right now it's almost 100 degrees outside. And I just got home. We had the ACs off because we were all out today. I told my wife we shouldn't let these run constantly throughout the day. But check this out. It is hot in here. So we had them off. I turned them on. It was like 102, I think it said. And now it's down to 92 about 30 minutes later. So it's hot. So I had to turn on our fan. And although it's showing 92 on here, the sensors are by the doors, so the AC doesn't come through here. It's probably more or less like 88 right now inside of there. But it's not uncomfortable. It's just, like I said, I've been in and outside, so it's hot. But that's another video, guys. But what I want to show you here is this black tank. Now, I just emptied out the tank here. Now, one thing you're going to need, and let me just show this to you here. I'm going to turn it off. I showed this to you guys, I believe, in another video. And if I didn't, I apologize. But you're going to need this. And I will explain in a second. But I got this maybe 3 months ago, and I didn't really use it that much. And one day I decided to do a test. I have a black tank flush that came with my RV, and I've only used that one. And when I started using this, I noticed there was a huge difference in how much stuff was coming out. So what I did was I ran my black tank flush that came with my RV, I turned it off, and then I stuck this down there. And when I did that, I noticed more of the gunk and, you know, nasty stuff was coming out. So I do this every single time now, and what that's basically done for me is I don't have to dump 4 and 5 and sometimes 6 times anymore, because I would dump 4 or 5 times and there would still be stuff coming out. So you don't have to do that anymore. If you have this wand and your black tank flush on it at the same time, you can let it run for like about 5 minutes. It's been running probably a little bit longer now. I'm gonna go ahead and close the tank. But if you run them together, it will pretty much clean out the tanks really well. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so that you guys can see, the water's running clear now, right? So in the past, I would let this run for like 10 minutes because, again, there would just be so much stuff coming out. I just got this little guy here not long ago. I got it from Camping World. I have a Camping World membership. And I like to have 2 areas where I could take a look, but the water's pretty much extremely clear, right? So what you're gonna do is we're gonna close this valve. And I'm not gonna go through a whole tutorial on this. I did a video on how I flush my tanks out. You should go back and watch that video. The only thing I would say to that is add that wand that you put down the toilet, and that's it. That's the only thing I did not have at the time. Now, as you just saw, I just closed this valve. I'm going to let this fill back up. Now, be warned. You see how it says do not use the tank flush valves unless the full way termination valve is in the open position. Can result in unsanitary conditions. Do this at your own risk. They say don't close the valve when the water's on. So I have both the wand down the toilet and my black tank flush on at the same time. The water will fill up probably within like 5 to 6 minutes. If you walk away from this thing, you're going to have problems that are unsanitary and could lead to illness or personal injury. So just keep that in mind. So that's what that means. But do this at your own risk. If you don't want to close this valve, if you don't feel comfortable, you could let that water, you know, drip down for like 5 or 10 minutes and you should be fine. But I'm going to show you what happens after my first dump when it fills back up. So that's my very first dump, guys. So all you see is like toilet paper, things like that coming out. So having that wand and having the black tank flush on simultaneously, you get clear water on the very first dump. So I let the tank get completely full. You guys can see a bunch of toilet paper. Again, we're all humans, and you see whatever, I don't know what that was, but there was something in that tank right there again where you just have like a buildup of something, and that wand and the black tank flush together help kind of clean out that tank perfectly. So like I said, you get a lot of clear water on the first dump basically. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to close the valve again, and I'm going to put Dawn soap down this time. Now here's the issue with the Dawn soap. The Dawn soap is soap, right? So Dawn soap is going to suds up. So you have to kind of watch it a little bit. Now the reason why I do the Dawn soap is because my valves are extremely hard to pull open over time, because I was putting down all kinds of crazy stuff. I would put down, I don't even want to tell you, like, but like, you know, Clorox or just anything like that to try to sanitize the tank. The only thing you should put down there is Dawn soap, and that's probably the most I would go. And of course the little, you know, packets you can put down there. That's the only thing I would put down that toilet, guys, because this valve is so hard. Now I have, you see that little washer right there, I put that in there because I kind of broke this, so I have to fix that later on. But right for now, it has it to where I can open and close it now. It's kind of like securing it on the edge there, that way it doesn't like push in. But like I said, because it was so hard to open and close this, because of all the crazy stuff I was putting down the tank, that's why it broke. This video will help prevent this from happening, because I was putting all kind of corrosive stuff inside my tank, and I guess these metal pieces just got really, like, I don't know if they just got rusted or whatever the case is, but they just were hard to open and close. So don't put anything down this tank other than what is supposed to go down there. Only use the holding tank treatments and Dawn soap. That's it. Nothing else. Don't try to be a hero. Then if you follow me on this video, you only have to dump this thing 2 or 3 times, and that's it. And then you can save on water for the campground that you go to also. So let's go ahead and close this one more time. So you guys saw, I could just stop right here, but I'm going to put some Dawn soap back down the toilet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it fill completely back up again. And then that way we can go ahead and get this thing really clean. So this should be the last time we do it, and then I'll show you guys what we do next. Right, because that valve was really hard to pull open, this is why I'm putting a little bit of Dawn soap in right now. Now if you want, you could take this soap and use it to clean the toilet if you like. Like I said, don't even clean this with anything like Clorox, bleach, or anything. Just use stuff like this, Dawn soap. This is probably the best thing. I flush it down, and that way what it's going to do is it's going to help make that valve easier to pull, and you'll see that in a second. I probably should have turned the black tank flush off before I did this, that way it can hit the surface of the floor, but this should be good for now. But like I said, I'm going to put this back down the toilet, and that way you guys can see me dump it one last time and just see how clean it's going to be. So one thing that I had an issue with my RV last year, and it was a question that some of you guys asked me, was why did I use my freshwater tank in the wintertime when I could connect to city water, and that I had my hoses protected with this foam and the heat tape or heat cord, whatever you call it. The reason why is I'm very forgetful, unfortunately. So what I did was I had my hoses protected that you see here. I have the heat cable, and I had them wrapped in this foam, and I had no issues being hooked up to the city water connection. However, I did some work to the RV, and I forgot to plug in my heat cable. And that night, my hose got frozen. And of course, the next morning, guess what? We didn't have any water, so we couldn't shower. We couldn't brush our teeth. So I always keep this tank full in case the power goes out or anything, because if you don't know, most RVs now are adding these heated holding tank systems, and if yours does not have this, you can add this after the fact. So if I do fill up my tank, I can keep that tank protected by heating it. So I have an 81-gallon tank, and then in the wintertime I always keep it completely full. That way if it gets cold or the electricity goes out, we at the very least can still take a shower. If you do plan on buying this wand to clean your black tank, you won't be able to do this on the very first time you're going to start cleaning your tanks. You may have to let that thing, you know, dump out, use your black tank that comes on the RV, and then let it dump down again, then put this down, because if you don't take care of this, it's going to stink inside of here. So just keep that in mind. My tank is pretty clean, and I normally put 2 packets down there when we first start. So when I'm done, I'll show that to you in a second. But for the most part, sometimes you get fumes. Now, I wouldn't turn my vent fan on my very first time dumping, but right now I don't have a smell in here. Like I said, it's not foul, so I can leave this slightly open with this down here, and it won't stink up my house. Now, you guys have noticed that I've on my RV reviews, do you see how I tell you when you have your city water and your black tank flush connections above your valves? Do you see how hard it is to pull these? Because I have to turn it this way to get it around this, and like I told you guys, this is extremely hard to pull because it's like stuck. Now with that Dawn soap, watch this, See that? See how easy it is to pull? So I have a little bit of Dawn soap in there. And again, like I told you guys, clear water. That's what you want when you're dumping your tanks. I let it fill up completely. Don't walk away from it. If you walk away from it, you're gonna have problems. You will have clear water on the first and second pull. Now, there's a little bit of residue still coming out, but for the most part, guys, that tank is pretty clean. You know, I've had it to where I would dump on the 4th time and it would still be yellowish water. But here, you see, it's completely clear. And that's the second dump. I was dumping 5 and 6 times. There's a little bit of stuff still coming out of that tank. I might dump it one more time because we went almost about a week and a half on our toilet, so it might be really dirty. But seriously, when I say this, get that wand, use it every time, and your tanks will stay pretty clean, in my opinion. And that way you don't have to dump so much. Like I said, I'll dump maybe one more time and I'll show you guys what we're gonna do next, okay? All right, so now that we're done with dumping the tank, I did dump it one more time, so 3 times in total. I'm gonna put some Dawn soap again. I'm gonna probably put a good bit this time. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to let this go down the toilet. Let it get a little bit higher. I'm gonna go ahead and dump that down. So what I'm doing right now is I'm basically letting this water fill up just probably like maybe 2 gallons worth. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open and close that valve because like as I said, my valve's been sticking. So that's the only thing I've had that has worked. I think Camco has something that you can put down the tank. It's not grease. I'll put it right here on the video. I use that, it's pink, and I use it a couple times and it basically does what this does. Because I'll be honest, once these valves start sticking, you're not gonna really get them undone. So follow my lead when I say this. Don't put anything down this toilet other than Dawn soap and your Porta packs. That's it. If you put anything else in this tank, you're gonna have issues. You're gonna mess up the seals. From what people have told me on my channel, you're going to have your valve stick like you see, and you could even mess up other things. So stick to the same stuff that you use all the time. I heard it's not good to, you know, switch and do different things. Just stick with the same thing. I've used this since I've had it, and I did use the green ones of these. I didn't like those. I feel like I had a smell after, you know, a week. These, you don't have any smell. Even after a week and a half, I had no smell. So I'm gonna go outside, I'm gonna pull the valve, and let me show you what else I do to the valve to keep it lubricated. So this is the last line of defense that I use to keep this valve from sticking. I pretty much use this maybe after every 2 or 3 times I pull the valve. I just put a little bit of lithium grease in there. You kind of can see a film of it on the front of it there. But this has helped a lot. And like I said, using the Dawn soap. So I'm gonna try to move my hoses here and do this. So as you guys can see how hard it is. So it's kind of hard to pull it right now. So I'm gonna close it again. A little bit of that water's coming out. And I'm just gonna keep doing it and doing it over and over again. So you kind of have an idea what I'm doing. So you might have to go back up inside and put a little bit more Dawn soap and do it again. But this is pretty much what you're supposed to do when your valves get stuck. So use some type of Dawn soap, and you might have to go back inside and put more soap inside. But that's pretty much helped my valves from sticking to where I can't even open them. And you want to catch it before it gets too bad. Having the white lithium grease and using the Dawn soap has helped tremendously. So pretty much at this point, the only thing I'm going to show you is one last thing, and then that'll pretty much effectively end this video. Now, because in the summertime I don't use my freshwater tank unless we're traveling, that's the only time I use this. So when we go on the road again, I will add the 81 gallons of water, but for now there's no need for me to do that. So I put 81 gallons of water in here in the wintertime. In the summertime, all I do is I put bleach inside of here. You can follow some instructions online. That's pretty much going to help sanitize that system there. And sometimes my hoses have like an egg smell, so sometimes you may have to run bleach in your hoses a little bit. Don't use it with your filter though. Don't let it get in the filter. Just you run it in your hoses. Alright, so my battery just died. So what I was saying was just run bleach through your lines every once in a while without the filter on. And what I do sometimes is I will use the winterization to run bleach through my lines on my RV, because sometimes my kitchen lines start to get eggy. And sometimes my bathroom does it, but it gets worse on that side. I don't know why, but what I'll do is I'll let it run through the lines, and then I'll let it sit for a few hours. We'll go to the mall or something like that, come back, I'll flush it out, and for the most part it fixes the problem for a while. But let's go ahead and finish up this video. I'm gonna show you guys what I do inside, and then yeah, one day I'll do another follow-up on these hoses and what to do to protect them for the winter time. All right, so the very last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna drop our Porta packs into the toilet. So I like these things to break inside the toilet. So what I do this at your own risk. I'm a kid at heart. I'm just gonna be honest with you, and I love to be a kid forever. So I'm like Peter Pan. So here we go. Watch this. This is a little fun for the channel. Do this at your own risk. So I kind of like these things to open up inside the toilet. So I'll kind of give them some help, and you can have a little fun with this. Don't let your kids do this though. You will be cleaning up for hours. This stuff is messy. But I just dump it down like this. And what I do next is I will pretty much clean the inside of the bowl right here. If there's any like residue, you know, right here, this will help kind of help clean that up too. And then I will, again, I'm a kid, so I like to turn it on right here. And then turn it off. So if you like to do crazy things like me, this is something you can do. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of Dawn soap in the toilet bowl, and then I will use the scrubber to clean it up, and it'll help kind of clean and sanitize that too, obviously. But again, guys, I hope this was helpful. Be sure to protect your valves. If those valves get messed up, trust me when I say this, you're gonna have to go to the RV and fix them, or you can just go the cheap route and just get a secondary valve that you can pull. But that means you'll always have water inside of your dump, and you don't want that. So thank you again. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys soon.